Hi, it's Peter Kim.
And I'm Eunji Kim.
And we are coming to the Pacific Northwest. First, we are going to the Helium Comedy Club in Portland, May 23rd at 8 p.m. So if you're in the Portland, Oregon area, please come out. We'd love to see you.
And we'll be in Seattle, May 24th, literally the day after, at the Hereafter. Check us out. We'll be there. And please, if you're in the Seattle greater area, we love Frasier. Peter was in the reboot. Please come
Which
out
doesn't
and see
take
us.
place in Seattle.
It doesn't take place in Seattle. But, you know, the spirit of Frasier lives on in Seattle.
So please come out. We'd love to see you. Bye.
Bye.
Hello. Welcome back to Two Kims, One Pod. I am your host, Peter Kim.
And I am Eunji Kim, your other host.
That's right. Thank you so much for coming back to the pod. I hope you had a great weekend when you're listening to this. This is a Monday. I'm very excited for this episode because we will be releasing our Kayun Kim interview.
Yes.
As part of this episode. So we're going to intro this episode a little bit, catch up on what we do, and then we're going to play you our live interview, in-studio interview with Kayun Kim because I finally got around to editing that. And let me tell you, editing this many inputs, video and audio, and synchronizing them and doing the multicam back and forth, and it is a lot.
It's almost like it's a job.
No, it's 100% a job, and I am very sorry for ever talking down on any type of editing. If you do any editing, you are a god. Thank you so much. A saint.
A saint.
A hero, a savior, a Christ. It is so much work. And I know the Youngs have a preternatural tendency or skill.
They have an inclination towards it because they've all edited themselves and edited their own
100%
videos. But this is the other part. They're also accustomed to seeing themselves on screen.
Yes. I'm still weirded out.
I
still have to put a cat emoji on. I gotta do a wrinkle face or something. I can't just out here putting bare face on. So yes, it's new to me, and I feel very, I feel like a dinosaur. I feel ancient every time I'm going to. Do you know how many times I messed up this Kayun Kim episode because I couldn't sync her audio to her video? It kept syncing the wrong way. And I almost emailed you and I was like, we're going to have to throw this episode away. It was so frustrating. And then I went to a YouTube, of course. Of course. How did people live before YouTube? How? It's like people living before Google Maps.
Exactly. But this is the reason why so much more of our lives were spent being ugly and being lost.
And stupid. Yes.
And stupid.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know if honestly, I don't know if I'm any smarter than I was back then because I probably read more and I probably knew more things.
I think I retained more then.
Oh, absolutely.
I consume more now information.
I'm never not consuming.
I don't know if I retain more knowledge.
Do you understand that I watch a full documentary about the hidden city in Kowloon? Okay? A full documentary about this hidden city in Kowloon. It is
where is Kowloon?
It's in China.
Thailand?
It's in China, and it is the most densely populated city in the world.
Okay.
There are almost, I think it's something like, this is what I mean. I don't even remember it. It's maybe 10 people per square foot. People are crammed together. It looks crazy.
Okay.
It looks crazy. So, I watched this entire documentary. It was maybe an hour, and that's not only that, but it was in chunks, so I could digest it more easily. Presumably. Recall nothing. Nothing.
Just the title, barely.
I can tell you about Preston Brooks being beat down on the floor of the Senate by John C. Calhoun. A piece of information.
Yeah. That it will never come in handy for you.
No, absolutely not.
But I feel you. I feel like a sponge that's been oversaturated. It's full with water.
I'm oozing.
And it's just oozing.
I'm leaking. That's all I'm doing is I'm leaking.
Yes. I don't know if I need some other type of retention.
More is not better.
No.
More is not better. And this is the thing to go back to what you were saying about how the youngs have this preternatural inclination towards being able to edit themselves and are also
Yes.
so accustomed to seeing themselves on
Yes.
camera and photos of themselves and branding themselves. To us, being able to view yourself and see yourself and edit yourself in this way would be an indication of confidence, of a certain amount of self-esteem, a certain
Yeah.
level of self-acceptance.
Self-awareness.
The youngs don't have that. And the youngs don't have that. It doesn't matter that they are able to see themselves and edit themselves. It doesn't help with any of their self-confidence. More is not better. In fact, it seems to be all evidence points to much worse.
Who will do it for us, the olds? Who will do this work for us? Because I'll tell you what, I am getting very tired. I am getting exhausted.
I'm exhausted.
I'm so exhausted. Is anyone out here not tired? Please tell me
This is the
how.
reason- This is the reason why
What's the
I can't-
secret?
This is the reason why I can't wait for this TikTok ban. Please.
Please get
Please.
me off of the
mu-
talk.
Take me off this teat. This
You know what they're going
teat.
to do? They're not going to ban this. They're going to sell it to a shell company that is, quote, American owned, but it's, 61% to CCP or whatever the fuck. So, like,
Sure.
whatever. It's going to skirt its way around. All of tech has skirted its way around any type of overseeing or a legislation thus far. Even when I worked at Yahoo back in 2005, there was no guardrails towards how much information we were collecting from people. You know what I mean? Like, people okay, let me tell you this. You think shit is scary now? In 2005, I used to deal with I was a data scientist for Yahoo, as some of you might know. I don't talk about it a lot because it's a past life, truly. And it was 7 years of just like compartmentalizing childhood trauma and just drinking my weekends and my happy hours away and doing corporate nonsense,
Of course.
which you might be in right now and be very happy about it. Go with God.
wait,
Vaya
can
con
I-
Dios.
Wait, can I just say something? I was preparing for this immigrant show, and so I was on Reddit, and there was this thread of immigrant kids. So the original poster was like, "Hey, immigrant kids, if you survived your parents, how are you doing now?" And
Okay.
it was just an entire thread of these like first gen kids talking about how they were killing it. I did this. I majored in this. I went to Stanford. I am a data scientist. I have no student debt. I am in a long-term relationship. I own a house. Another person, I own this. I do that. I am like no student debt. I have this and like blah, blah, blah. I'm successful, blah, blah, blah. Just a list, a whole thread of thriving immigrant kids. To a person, they're all successful, and all of them to a person also always noting they're incredibly unhappy.
100%. And I don't know if anyone's happy really. And like I'm poor and creating, and I'm still unhappy. So who's to say? Anyway, so I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Neither do you. Who cares?
Yeah.
My point is, when I was at Yahoo in 2005, I was working with something called a L cookie and a B cookie.
Okay.
Okay. And a B cookie is called a browser cookie. And this is just a way we track you as you are going around to look at Yahoo Sports, putting
Yeah.
a quote in for it, Yahoo Autos, etc., searching for things on Yahoo Search. The L cookie is something called a login cookie, which is if you're logged in as like, Peter Kim at yahoo.com, and then you're browsing, we are tracking you as you're logged in, right? And then a browser cookie is something you're tracking as you're not logged in, as like anyone, right? And then cookies became like a thing in the zeitgeist. So people started saying like, we need to clear cookies. So what we ended up building is something called a what was it called? A resistant cookie. So
Okay.
even if you cleared your cookie, there would be a underlying way we can track you that we would piece together when you logged in, when you browsed, when you didn't log in, and then piece together who you are down to the zip +4 and be able to aggregate you into blocks or chunks to
Sure.
sell you to advertisers.
Yeah.
And that was in 2005.
Yeah.
It's almost 20 years later,
Yeah.
and the technology is way scarier. So
it's absolutely insidious.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
So like,
I mean, there's no part of your online life that is not being documented, metriced, and data analyzed to
and modeled, not just analyzed but modeled.
In order to
we're being
monetize
used to
your
for
behavior.
machines to learn about humanity and our behavior.
Yes.
And I'll wrap this up real quick, but just as an aside, I was looking at something called the golden pocket, or in trading, in like stock trading or like cryptocurrency stuff like this. There's something called a golden pocket where like it's a mathematical equation. It's basically the Fibonacci sequence.
Okay.
And it's a point where traders say within the golden pocket, that's when you're supposed to jump in for investment.
Okay.
Because in this mathematical sequence, it's about to, quote, pop off.
Okay.
So, anyway, so that's, why did I bring that up?
Talking about the cryptocurrency, the golden pocket.
Oh, the golden pocket, the Fibonacci sequence. So what I'm basically saying is all the data that's been collected since I worked at Yahoo for 20 years.
Sure.
If you machine learn that out, you will see, like, much like the Fibonacci sequence, which humanity goes towards, is the golden ratio, because like we can't help but want things to be a certain ratio, like and this isn't just like photographs or what we draw or stuff like that. It's like how we build cities, how we go from work to, like it's truly everywhere if you look at it. And it's
the kind of order that seems to reassert that we are all like
in a simulation.
Yeah.
Right. And or if you really break it down the other way, you're thinking in the midst of chaos, we're
There is
always
order.
seeking order. We're always seeking order. Therefore,
I mean,
we
some
are
people see it as
attracted
evidence
to
of God or whatever, some sort of binding sort of thing.
Whatever you
it
wanna
can be
call
holy or religious or some kind. Yes.
Yeah, or spiritual, whatever. But at the end of the day, it's not just random, is what I'm saying. So with the amount of data that's been collected on the internet, on social media, et cetera, for 20 years since I've been gone from the internet space, it is way in our power to model human behavior to have to the point where we don't recognize if it's human or AI,
Right.
i.e. the singularity. So I don't think we're close. I think we're there. Like,
Wouldn't
I
it be
think,
crazy if this is the moment where we reveal that we're AI and then
I would be so relieved if I was AI. It would make so much sense. I'd be like, no wonder I can't find purpose in my life. Like, because I was just modeled after a real person, like.
Yeah. I mean, the singularity thing is like, I mean, if anyone, I'd imagine people that listen to this are also kind of into sci-fi at all. Because if you're a curious person,
if you've
always
stuck by us, we've
Yeah.
been ranting about sci-fi
yeah.
and apocalyptic scenarios.
And the singularity is something that I've always been fascinated with, specifically also not only with the AI of it all, but just so many things in our current culture seem to be indicating that we are moving towards that. Absolutely. I mean, it wasn't a weird dream when it was, I forget who thought of it up, but
May I suggest something?
sure.
This is a bit I've been working on about how ever since we thought of the idea of AI, we've always made it a cautionary tale.
Absolutely.
It's never been like, it's always been, us, we about to fuck it up,
We're about to fuck it up. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
The hubris
Therefore,
of man. Yes.
Yes, and therefore we project that kind of end game towards AI, right? Now, what if we could really like make a basic version of that world and everyone gets a Mr. Belvedere? You know what I mean? Like, just a British butler to just handle everything. It could really unite us because, like, it would solve so much of like inequities and stuff like that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And
But Peter, do you remember how the internet started?
what with
With
Al Gore?
that exact ethos and goal in mind.
Well, of course, it's always going to find corruption because people are not we are a plurality as human beings, and we err towards chaos, right? Like we're just trying to I think with AI, in all its derivations, sure it's going to replace jobs and stuff, but like I think there's a way, especially if the youth legislate AI, meaning the 18-year-olds now are hopefully in colleges looking at AI and looking at a way to create a future for themselves using this like tool that is truly like evolutionary jump. Like we've never seen, maybe Industrial Revolution was the last time we even glimpsed at something like this, where like it really changed civilization. Like this is going to change us irrevocably. Yes, I can never say that.
Irrevocably.
Yeah,
I've never said that out
we will
loud.
not be the same before this. Like, yeah, you really crushed that. and here's what. And just
model
to
my
go
model UN really popping through. Okay.
Yeah. and here's what. This might be all like fluff thinking, but I have nothing left. I've tried gloom and doom, but with specifically with AI, if we are offloading all of our collective human experience to AI and it's modeling itself after us,
Okay.
what if we gave into it as our God? Meaning, if we are the collective consciousness, right?
Sure.
If there is a collective unifying consciousness, instead of making that a theoretical thing, what if there was an actual thing? You know what I mean? Like, in a world where we were, it's like a godless world now, mostly, at least in the West. What if we need something to be our God?
And you want to choose the facsimile of a facsimile of a facsimile of us that we will now choose to rule and bind us and lead us and prove to be our spiritual center?
What I'm saying is, instead of fighting Skynet, accept it as our Lord and Savior.
And let it just wash over you. And as you drown,
It's gonna
simply accept
happen
your fate.
anyway. There's
simply
no-
accept your fate.
Why are we fighting it? Let's try to get ahead of it. You know what I mean? Like, let's try to, if we could make, for example, the way you were bringing up like a few weeks ago, how AI can't make racist jokes,
Yes.
right? Because it's programmed to do so. We are putting all these moral guidelines around AI.
Sure.
We are replacing God, basically. God is an idea of a communal, collective moral code, right? There's no other thing for that right now. Religion is completely, it's everywhere. It's splintered. Like, if we're putting these moral guidelines into AI to build it,
Okay.
why are
But
we
we're
doing
giving
that?
it. We're giving
Why are
that.
we doing that?
We're imparting that information unto them, unto the AI. So
Right. Why are we doing that?
because we don't want. There's this idea that somehow we can control it.
Right. But we're saying that we don't want it to backfire, or we don't want it to be saying hurtful things, doing things that hurt others, right? Like when you ask ChatGPT to make like a homophobic joke or whatever,
Yeah.
it can't, because it understands that there is a morality against it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
We're like writ large programming morality into AI.
Okay. But without context. That's the thing. It doesn't have. It cannot experience racism. So it's just making a blanket statement about making no judgments at all. So it can actually, even in good fun or with love, skewer. So we're losing such a huge part of it.
Exactly. You're losing the humanity of it.
Yes.
That's
so why
why
do we
it's
want more
gone.
of that?
No. That's why I think we ought to like shape it to be our like.
You want us to now worship a golden calf. Are you the devil?
What isn't a golden calf? We're worshiping money.
I mean,
you think you're better off worshiping TikTok? And
no, absolutely not. I don't want to do any.
You know
of
what I
that
mean?
stuff.
Like
Absolutely
we're already
not.
doing that. It's
I
not
actually-
like we're choosing not
It's
to
so
worship capitalism. We are. We just
Of
don't
course,
have a
of course.
choice.
Of course. I think maybe it's so funny. We have had very similar realizations about being more positive about it. I've actually always been pretty optimistic in spite of all the AI stuff. But I will say that my optimism around it is that we will, because of the human urge towards order, because of the human urge towards connection, that right now so many people and humanity itself is actually suffering under a psychic plague, right? There's not only just been we've just experienced a pandemic, but there is absolutely an epidemic of mental illness that is working its corrosive way through Western civilization.
Yeah,
I'm
sure
completely
it has
a byproduct.
nothing to do with the way we use our phones.
This is what I mean. This is what
You
I
know
mean.
what I mean? Like,
yes, no, this is 100% true, and this is another way in which we have taken the technology and started to destroy ourselves with it. But
which
I
is
think-
our MO.
Absolutely. So
Yes.
my optimism around humanity and AI is that we will, using all of this, like using it as a tool, certainly, and phones and all this stuff as a tool. But I think that the move and the reason why comedy is hitting it off so much is that people are looking for and seeking community. and
100%.
seeking
We're gonna
live
see live,
And this
you
is
know,
when
live
this is
performance go up.
there's already such a spike in cults. I think that
Oh yeah.
absolutely, because people are looking for community. I am
Yeah.
actually advocating for a return to religion, like the old school kind, like just some third
Which
space.
old school? There's a lot of like Christianity. Or
Yes. Yes.
Okay. You want to go back to church?
Go back to church, go back to synagogue, go back to temple, go back to, your VA, go back to your Masonic lodge, go back to your Freemasons, go back to, your Girl Scouts, your Boy Scouts, like go back to this sort of community third space shit. Right? Like go to your local gazebo. Like I'm talking about the rise and proliferation of like I think that
Bitch, you ain't got friends? There's a gazebo around the corner. You live in a cul-de-sac?
I just think that there is going to be a return to like the very caveman, primitive, around a fire, that sort of storytelling. That it'll be like a return to your local community theater. Like I think that the sort of the lie of the internet was that somehow we would become more connected because we could connect through this computer. And it was to a certain extent true. But because of the sort of like what you're describing about this like movement towards order and this constant compilation and aggregation of data and everyone being compiled and crunched into this box, that is actually flattened culture. Because there was a moment with internet where like you could be anything. Like you could be really weird and really hyper niche and all these things, but now I would argue in the last 10 years is actually back down, like flattened. Like even if
it's
you
because
are
the
emo,
internet has just become broadcast now, and broadcast has to air to the median.
and same thing. And as it's aggregating more and more data of all of our behavior, it has to continually crunch it down.
Yes.
So it flattens, and so all of our experiences online, which we're doing a lot in order to connect with other people and find out what's happening, it's all becoming flattened.
Yeah.
So it's like very interesting to me that so many of the young people, because I hang out with 19-year-olds so much. Like, it's crazy. And what I've noticed is that a lot of them really, especially if they are somewhat like different or trying to be, they go back to our culture. They go back to Gen X and like older millennial shit. Like, I walked into my classroom recently, this past week, and you know what they were listening to?
What? Ace of Base?
Cake.
Oh, wow. Okay, so like, yeah,
You know
we're
what I-
vintage now.
But it's like for them, it's
That makes sense. We're their parents' age.
yes.
Yeah,
I'm maybe like a couple years younger than most of their parents,
right.
and
Their parents are like what, late 40s?
yes,
Yeah,
Yeah.
early 50s.
some of them are like my age though, depending on where they're from.
Yeah, if they were fucking hot.
Yeah, or from Indiana, or you know what I mean.
Sure. No abortion laws.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I do agree. I think we're saying the same thing, is that we're going to go back towards some kind of communal, like this is right for some kind of iconoclast to like rise, and someone who has like crazy ideas, but it makes sense for the time, and let's
Sure.
blame this one subgroup before all the woes we have. Like, this is
It's ripe.
It's
It's ripe.
very,
yeah,
very-
the
yeah.
fruit is ripe. It's falling off the vine.
Well, yes,
and I think that with the AI taking over so many jobs, certainly, why not go for
Yeah.
it? Please
Yeah.
take it off our plates. But
just
then
give me money.
just give me money. Then we all need
Yeah.
a UBI. That's
or
the situation.
UBI, or like figure out something where you're not constantly printing the money. You know what I mean? So that,
We're going back to
or
the
like-
gold standard. We're gonna start bringing bullion back.
I don't know, do something where we stop inflating our coin. You know what I mean? Like, that's just not. It's not a sustainable option for us to keep making the dollar inflate. Like you could have all the AI you want, but if it costs $100 to eat an apple, you're not gonna fucking be able to afford it. Like, we need to figure out how to create either get rid of the monetary system overall, where we're not using the dollar, we're using something else, or
And then actually we all live out my mother's dream of all me being worthless. So like
there
we
you
are
go.
all without
and she
worth.
finally gets what she wants.
Get what you want.
Or like, we have to have some kind of like centralized, and this is very communist thinking, but we have to have some kind of centralized place where we're all getting stabilized income or something from, because like we can't just be out here and not work and not have homes. So
I mean,
we're
but
just
because
gonna become
work is
tent
vital.
cities.
Work is vital. Work is necessary for humans to feel some sense of accomplishment. It's so vital to your mental health. And
Yeah.
I also think that, I've been thinking about this recently. And so what we're talking about is like this finite, the idea of worth and inflation, and whether or not as things are worth more and resources are actually becoming more scarce, right? But it's also all of it is an illusion, and these are arbitrary values put on things,
Yeah.
right? Based on what's available. I think we talked about this a couple of episodes ago, but it's happening around hotness and attractiveness. And remember, you were like, you thought that that
People
like
will become
hotness,
ugly. People
yes,
will be
as an
sought
expression,
after.
yes, as an expression of their absolute power
Yeah.
and wealth. I was thinking that this is actually tough on hot people right now, because they are also being put upon to, like, comedians wear many hats, because anybody can be hot now, because there's all this pressure being put on the hot industry, right? Because anybody become hot. Like, if you have access to about $500, you can go from, like, you can get, I would say, two degrees more attractive. And you take
With
that
$500, how? Just like Botox and stuff?
Botox,
Oh, okay.
skincare, makeup,
Sure. Okay.
Like,
Basic
you know,
maintenance.
Basic maintenance, but it's not
Okay.
basic. It wasn't like this before. So it's like
No,
this,
for sure. It's way more involved now.
and
There's
it's much
way
more democratic. It's the access, the barrier to entry to the hot industry has become much lower. Access is much easier.
Yeah.
Information is free flowing.
Yeah.
The market is flooded, so things are cost
Cheaper.
less, cheaper.
Yeah. Yeah.
So as everyone is becoming more hot, the hot people now feel compelled to get other things in, right? Like it's this weird inflation that's happening in the hot.
Like they also
industry.
have to do comedy.
They also have to do comedy.
Oh, I see.
They so that's the thing is back
That's
in the
where
day.
that's what you're pissed off about.
Yeah, I mean, because the classic
Yeah.
hot, when we were growing up, they went to the mall and they loved to laugh. And
Okay.
now a hot hates the mall and not only loves to laugh, but now they have to make their own hat. Not only have they love to laugh, but they also have to make their own laughs, and they also have to be good at social media. They have to wear all these other hats now. They have to read books. They have to have a take on stuff in culture and in politics. That
Yeah.
was never expected of the hots we grew up with.
But there were less hots.
This is what I'm saying. This
Yeah.
is the hot inflation. That what's happening in the hot industry is actually crazy. And the field.
Sorry
itself,
for the hots.
Sorry.
Sorry for the hots. As a knot my whole life, I'll tell you, I feel bad.
I mean, it's just crazy to me. I mean, just the number of people I've just been seeing. Like it is an epidemic of hot people carrying around books and trying to be interesting as well. It's like enough.
Yeah.
You don't have to do that.
That hasn't hit LA yet, thank God. We enjoy a
classic
plethora of hot that are single-minded. They just like to travel and stay hydrated. That's like the hots in LA. It's a lot of like drinking like expensive waters, a lot of Essentia drinking.
Yeah. Because of the electrolytes, right? Yeah.
pH balance.
pH balance, yeah.
Yes. I don't know.
I'm glad to hear
I
that
hear
the
it's all
classic hot-
garbage.
I'm glad to hear.
Yeah, LA still got our classic hots. Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that. I was so worried about the industry.
Really, yeah, I'm worrying about Chicago. The hot industry is really taking a downturn.
and the hot industry in the Midwest can't really take that kind of hit. And so
No, very flimsy industry.
Very flimsy
fragile. How has comedy been this week?
It was actually so funny. So last night I drove for an hour.
Oh, I saw your post. Where were you performing? Outside?
I was outside. I was outside the city, and
Oh, okay.
it was in a place called
Suburbia.
it was called McHenry
Okay.
County. No, it was not McHenry County. The town itself was called McHenry,
Okay.
and it was very strange. It was very far. I've never been in that part of Illinois. And these like places that you'll just randomly drive through and you're like, oh, they have like a downtown. Is there a train nearby? Is there a river? Like what happened here? And
Oh, it's like it used to be a downtown, or there is a downtown.
No, there was like a cute downtown that they had made. Like it was like
Right, but was anyone there or no? It was empty.
yes,
Oh, okay.
it
That's
was.
nice.
Peter,
Yeah,
when
there's little like towns around LA that are like, oh wow, what's going on? Everyone's kind of like cruising. They have like cars and they're
Yes.
like driving by, showing off.
and it's weird because it's like, what is this? Who
yeah,
are you?
Americana.
Okay, so so I was out there. I was supposed to headline, and like it's a cooking show. It's a cooking comedy show. So it's like comics cook, compete
Okay.
compete
Oh
with
yes,
each other.
I've seen you post this.
Yes, and I am the reigning champion of this with my partner Deanna Ortiz. I have never lost
Let's go.
one of these. So yeah, I'm undefeated, and I think there's like one other team that's also undefeated. But
How do you win? Just have a tasty thing?
there are 3 judges. They're like
Okay.
like chefs and like food writers and stuff, and they judge and
Right.
they taste and
Taste
stuff.
and judge.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Cool.
And so I was doing this show. Peter, it was like a huge theater, by the way.
How
Unexpected. like 200.
Oh, okay.
And it was probably about like I don't know, like 50 to 80. I mean, like I couldn't tell. There was people in the backs, maybe like almost 100 people there. But it was like a huge stage, right? Like you saw it. It's like for music even. It's like got a whole stage. There's rigging. There's lights.
Yeah.
It's a whole thing. And the way that, so everybody was bombing. It was crazy. Everybody's bombing. Everyone in the audience is talking at you, talking among themselves. They're watching TV and talking to it. That's what's happening.
Watching
And,
TV? Why?
like in their mind, they're like watching.
Oh, I see.
You know, they're like, oh
Okay.
yeah, like I don't
Is
agree
it
with
because
that.
people were cooking? They were like, well, we're going to talk while they cook?
But
like,
the
why-
comics do sets.
How long of a set? Like 5?
They do about 5 to 7. So like they're doing their sets.
They're short sets. Okay,
They're short
so-
sets, but then
yeah.
everything in between, there's like patter, right? There's the MC is going up to the hosts and asking what
Right.
they think, or what
Right.
the cooks, what the chefs in the comics, what they're making, how it's going. They ask the chefs how they feel about the action, and you know, it's like a full show.
Yeah.
Everyone was bombing like crazy. Like it was, I walked in on a comic and it was like she was berating the audience. And
Oh, no.
yeah, like that. Like it
Oh,
was, it was going
no.
bad. And like and she was berating the
That's
audience.
when you know. That's.
No,
She was
not-
going full coy?
full coy. Full coy. And guess what? And there was no joy. No joy in that coy. And
Oh,
and but this is how you know it's even worse. She's going full coy and the audience is still heckling back. Like the audience is still, the audience members are still going like, but let me tell you this. Well, I don't know about that.
Oh,
Well, I guess you could say that. Well, I don't know.
100 people. It wasn't even like one tiny group of people. It's like pockets of people all talking. Oh God, that's disrespectful. Let me ask you this:
there was a white wine
lights
lady.
on?
Yes, I mean it was
That's why.
dimmed. It was dimmed. It was dimmed.
Okay.
But yes, house lights were somewhat up.
You cannot have house lights up. That means you should talk. That is a stage manager. That's a house manager problem. House lights up means show's not happening.
That's what's
That
crazy.
sucks. I'm
So
sorry.
also,
That sucks.
And also, this show and this venue is actually supposed to be a good show. Like people have been raving about it. So that's why I drove for an hour.
For an hour to McHenry. Why else? Was it pay good?
Because I needed the $60.
Wait, you headlined. So how long of a set did you do?
17. Like I did like a long.
Oh my God.
So
Oh
so
no.
this is the thing. I'm watching them bomb, and then the guy after I watch her literally be like, this comic was literally going like, "Fuck you, shut up."
Oh no.
What do you know? I hate you.
I have the microphone. You paid to be here. Did she
And
try
even-
to get someone to like the audience to get on her side? Like who make some noise if you want her to shut the fuck up?
Yes, I mean, she
And
was
then people
she was
didn't
trying.
make noise. Oh my God.
I mean, no,
people
these
are
were
like,
the-
fuck you, shut up, get off the
Yes. They were actually on the side of the heckler. They're like, yeah, no, actually, fuck you.
Yeah.
You shut up.
You suck,
and, like,
man. No.
And it was like, and it was
oh,
such.
this is
And the pockets she was really yelling at were like white wine moms. Like that was very much.
but of
the vibe.
course. Yes.
Like white women on white wine is actually illegal. I think at a comedy club, it should be. Like it is.
Any public space? No, do that in your own den.
Thank you,
Deborah.
It's a matter of public decency and as
it
a
in your
public service
sub-basement,
announcement.
Eileen.
Yes. Thank you. Come on, Eileen, get it together. And so I mean, so then the next comic goes up, and I know this comic. He kills. Like he's very good, and could not get it going for the life of him. Like he did the reset of the room 3 times. Like, how you guys feeling, folks? I said, how you guys feeling? I can't hear you.
Oh no. Oh no! Oh no!
And he
My
really
taint is quivering. I
and he
can't.
couldn't.
I
And
hate
guess what?
this.
And guess what? He never heard them. He never heard them.
You can't hear them because they're not responding.
It's so.
Oh no!
And he was. I mean, he was doing the
hate
sort of like
this.
he was trying to get the crowd work going, all of it, and then
Yeah.
I went up, and it was rough. It was really, really rough. Like,
Could you hear the audience?
yeah, I could hear the audience. I mean, I was getting pops. I just couldn't get that going. And I was getting pops and it was fine. Like, and at a certain point, you know, when you kind of give up, where you're like, I can't muster up as a performer.
Yeah. It's been a while since I've given up, but yes,
I
have been
was like,
before.
I gave up. Like, I was just like, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm
You
not
wrapped it
going to
up?
find this. No, I didn't wrap it up, but I was just like, I can't give you the performance. Like, I'm going to just kind of be like, I was on my,
You just
I wasn't
gotta
on my
get
heels.
through it.
Yeah, I wasn't on my heels or
Sure,
anything. I was
sure.
like stayed present and I was fine,
Yeah.
but I wasn't giving them the show that I am capable of giving them.
No, they don't deserve it, nor
This
are
is-
they watching.
This is what I'm saying. I just was like, you don't deserve this. Like, I'm not going to expend like a part of my creative energy.
Not for an hour drive back. No, honey. No.
I'd rather dance in the car. So I mean, like, I'd rather have a lively conversation on the phone.
Yeah.
I'd rather
yeah,
give that to a
exactly.
friend.
Uh-huh.
So I was, you know, and I was still getting the pops because I was trying out a bunch of new stuff because of the gig in DC. So I wanted to like run through some things.
Mm-hmm.
So I gave a little bit of juice to those bits just to see if they were working.
Yeah.
They got the pops I wanted. I got what I needed. But man, it was a bomb in a way that I was like, at a certain point, I was kind of like, well, what do you guys want to talk about? like, I was what I mean.
Did,
I
did
wasn't.
they give you something?
They did. I mean, they were very
Obama.
polite. It was just the crowd and the way that the vibe was in the
Show.
room. Like, it just
Yeah.
wasn't happening. And like,
It
I
wasn't
didn't.
good for comedy.
And I just I
get
didn't get them in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't like. I
It
was
sounds like
getting
no
small.
one got them.
Yeah, no one got them.
So it's
And-
not
and then
really
I-
on you to get them.
And then what's crazy is that I posted that story about how I drove an hour to bomb, and I got 3 ladies from that audience DMing me saying I didn't bomb.
Yeah, I'm sure.
They were literally
I'm sure
like,
they
"You're the-"
loved you.
Yeah, they did. And I was like, but so that's what I mean. Like, it wasn't like a bomb in the way that like I felt bad about my performance or I was on my heels. It was just like a rough crowd.
Yeah,
and
it's a work night.
it's a work night, absolutely. And if I
I did one of
could've-
those recently.
Yeah, and it was just like I
Yeah.
guess I could have stood in it and kind of like really worked to get them back.
Yeah.
But that would have meant that I didn't do any of my new stuff. That would have meant I wasn't able to work out some things, and because you know, like especially when you're doing new stuff, you're kind of thinking about it, and I was kind of figuring out where I wanted to put it. And if I was going to give them the show, I wouldn't have been able to do that. So, you know, but yeah, it was very interesting. I haven't been out and done something because it was such an incongruous thing. It's crazy to have be on stage with a full sound check, mic, like a full like backdrop that is, you know, like has my face on it, and to bomb like that versus
Yeah.
like in a bar or like at a show like that. That's like different, right? And the driving of the hour. But yeah, it was interesting.
The driving really makes it hurt because you have to
Woo!
drive back thinking about how noisy it was, how you tried this joke, you can't even tell if it worked, and you know that sucks. That's how I
Yeah.
feel. Did I tell you I did this fundraiser
No.
last week with Andy Kindler?
No.
Oh my God. Okay, so I'll tell you about this and we can wrap up. So this was supposed to be a quick episode topper for Kayun's episode, but this is going to be a separate episode. You guys will see Kayun on its own. But anyway, so I got asked to do this fundraiser for a school called Bridges Academy out
Okay.
here. It's a 2E school. I learned about this. Had no idea. It's twice exceptional.
Okay.
That means
Because
like
once is
you're-
never enough.
Yes, and second is the best. It is. I guess it's for kids who are on the autism spectrum,
But also really
and
smart.
also really like smart and talented
Yeah.
at something. So it's
Sure,
not.
sure.
Yeah. So it's that type of school. It's like a small private school,
Right.
and it's for a lot of kids who like get kicked out of school or fail out of school because they can't learn the same way and
Sure.
stuff like that. Anyway, so they do all this like type of
Twice exceptional. Twice exceptional.
twice
It's so
exceptional.
funny the
It's
way that they're
very
because
LA.
there's a lot of these things like with the gifted
It's very
kids, and
LA.
it's like it's like oh, it's not that they're they have like a LD or some other. They have all these like weird like assignations now. It's like oh he's like an
Yeah.
IEB. He's got this and this, and I'm like so he's dyslexic but he's smart. Like why can't we just say that? Like why do you have to?
Because they're like, no,
when you-
not the D word. No, you can't say the D word.
But
Yeah.
it's because we.
yeah,
I
it's a
think,
lot of that.
but we're also clinicalizing and pathologizing a thing that they could just understand as like a part of their personality as opposed to this like categorization that puts them-
Special. In a
Yeah.
yeah, it's very like participation trophy vibes.
because
But,
one special is in quotation marks and the other one's not, you know what I mean? Like anyways.
Yeah, it's 1 + 1 special.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's this type of school. They have no, I guess, like endowment, so they have to do these fundraisers every year. Point is, Andy Daly, the comedian / actor, or whatever, he hosted with this other guy, John Stern, and they both have kids that go to that school. So
Okay.
they do this fundraiser every year, and I was the comedian that opened for Andy Kindler.
Okay.
And so we're doing it in the gym of this school, and it's just like this huge space,
Sure.
like fitted into kind of like ballroomy type tables. There's past apps, and there's a silent auction, and so there's
Yeah.
like a bunch of movement. It's like a very like almost corporate giggy type of deal.
Yeah, I mean I've done galas before. I get it. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, yeah, it's very gala. And
Yeah. Were there
you know,
seats or was only high
seats.
tops? Okay.
seats, but there was a between me, which I was on the floor because the stage was super high. It's like a school play kind of stage, so it's like super high, and there was a band set up already. So we're like, why don't the comics just do it on the floor? And we're like, okay. So we were on the floor, and then right in front of us was one of those like makeshift dance floors that you see at like ballrooms
Yes,
or whatever.
at Bummer Smith's. Yeah,
like,
yeah.
like a raised dance floor.
Yes.
So they have like a raised dance floor, and then all the tables were like horseshoed behind that dance floor. So like everyone was like so far away from us, and we're on the floor of this gym.
Wait, so it was you, dance floor,
And then a U shape.
chairs,
Yes.
and
Around.
then the audience?
No. That was the audience. The
Okay.
U shape was the audience.
Okay.
So I go up there and I start doing my bits, and it's so noisy. It's so everyone's talking. Everyone talked through the entire intro bit, and I'm trying to do some like, let's find out who the audience is, make some
Sure.
noise, blah blah, this and that, like trying to like unify them into one thing,
Yeah.
And they're just like people are doing auction stuff, and like people are like, hey, I haven't seen you so long, and I'm just
Yeah.
like, oh my god, let me just fucking get through this. And it ended up being like a fine set. It was like a 12-minute set, and I actually cracked a bunch of people close to me, like a table close to me, and they were like
that's
really
great.
into it. So I was just like really just performing for them.
Sure.
And then I get off, and then Andy Kindler goes up, and Kindler, I didn't know this, but apparently he had not been doing comedy for a while since pandemic, because
I did not know that.
he got very like freaked out about it, and he just
Yeah, of
stopped.
course. Yeah, yeah.
And he came with like pages and pages of jokes that he was gonna try out, printed out, and he like
At this event?
at this event, and he put it on his stool, and he kept going back and forth to the stool. He's like, I have no memory, and he's going back, and you can see like the decades of the pro just like
Yeah.
pushing through this fucking event.
Sure.
Because like I didn't do much to like make the crowd cohere in any
Yeah.
way. Like it was even more fractured before I went up, I think.
Yeah.
And then he had to go to do it like a longer set.
Yeah.
And man, he was commenting on how awful it was the entire time.
Sure.
And how he wanted more noise from the left side of the room because it's like really imbalanced right now. And he was out here doing these jokes. Like we were so different. Like my material was so like about me and personal and like dirty and getting into the
Sure.
dirty stuff. And his was so old school setup punch.
Yeah.
Like the only joke I do remember, which made me laugh because it was so stupid, was, I got a watch guy now. I'm fixing my watch. And he keeps asking me if I want a second hand added. And I always tell him, not on my watch. Which is so hilarious. It's so stupid and hilarious. But the audience is just like talking through the thing. And I'm giving it to him.
Yeah.
because I'm
Yeah.
like,
Of course.
"Bah!"
Of course. Of course.
Even
Yeah.
when- especially when he's bombing, I'm like,
Yeah.
"Yeah."
Yes,
You
yeah,
know, like
yeah.
just giving it up. But I remember like after he got off, he was like, oh boy, I got to run to another one to fucking cleanse the palate.
Yes.
And I'm like, all right, go with God. I wish I had another one too, but
I mean, that's what I was doing last night. I was like looking up like places to go after that show because I was just like
oh,
so
yeah,
spiraling.
I
I need another hit, like just something to like level this one out.
Woo! Yeah. Those are tough, and you know, like it's I didn't drive an hour to do mine, but it is one of those things where you're like, one out of every 7 to 10 shows just is a work night.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like
I mean,
you're at work. Most other times, I would say 8 out of 10 is like I'm having a time of my life
yes.
because I'm having so much fun. But sometimes it's just not fun, and it's
Oof.
just the work.
I mean, also, let me just say those moments and those shows where it's just like, especially galas or things where it's like big high ceilings and there's
High
like a lot of
ceilings.
stuff happening.
Yeah.
Those are the moments when you really become acutely aware that you're just a person with a
Filling
microphone.
time. Yes.
A person with a microphone who's got a few opinions. And like that's it. There
That's
is
it.
nothing else about you that should recommend you to the people there to listen.
No.
And then you watch when you're, especially at these gala things, and then you watch when a band or musician plays and everyone just stops and goes, devastating.
But imagine those people if you have a guitar up there and people are still talking.
But
Oh
I feel
my
like that's,
God.
I feel like it's actually easier. I feel like that's actually easier. If you're not
well,
singing.
it is for
if you're
sure
not
because you don't
singing-
need to fucking talk.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because like the idea of talking is that someone is listening to you.
and reacting. Yeah.
And
I know
so-
we are very needy. We really need a lot from the audience.
Because it's not just the attention, right? It's
No.
like we need
It's
their
the proper response and the level of response.
that is appropriate to the joke.
Yes. As witnessed by empirical data. Okay, we're collecting data, honey. There's a logarithmically, you should be laughing louder.
It's not only Google collecting your data; it's also
Yeah.
me. And
Yes.
I would, yeah. I mean, it's just been interesting because I have been working out so much new material that I feel a little crazy. Like my set is in so much flux right now, and my shows have been very up and down. Like I'm doing fine or whatever, but it's like they've been very up and down in terms of what bits are hitting and how hard they're hitting based on like
Yeah.
where they are in the set. So
Yeah.
it's just like a very influx right now.
Yeah.
Because I'm
I
like,
get that.
because I'm also writing a lot right now. So it's like I'm folding in a lot of new stuff. So it's pushing other things out before. So it's, you
Yeah.
know what? I will say this is the first time in my comedy career where I do really feel like I'm not going out enough because of how much I'm writing. Like I need to actually be going out maybe every day,
Mm-hmm.
like going up so that I can work that
Yeah.
new chunk. and then
You should start doing it in your class. In your DePaul class. You're like, all right, kids, let me work out my 5.
I know that I'm here for your dreams, but what about mine?
Take your own attendance, but let me try out this 5.
But pay attention. And then
Yeah.
if you do not laugh, it will affect your grade. And so
Right. And if you don't have a tag for me, it will also affect your grade.
I mean, but I will say it's one of the few times in my comedy career that I really acutely feel that, like, oh, I maybe need to be going out more because I'm spending too much time figuring out like order and like how I want things to go versus the actual joke. And that's like not helping me. Like I'm not tightening up everything as quickly as I need to be. So I don't know. I mean, how is your new set? You said it was like really ripping.
It's ripping now. It's interesting you say that because I'm folding in old stuff now.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, like I'm finding new connections to old bits.
That's the best.
I know, and I'm like layering in like an old, like literally a joke that I haven't been doing since Chicago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That I'm like, oh wait, this fits perfectly as like a second joke in this chunk. So yeah, that's really becoming like. And last night at this show that we host, Benda and I, it was cult themed.
Yeah.
And for this show, I've been writing a new set each month.
Great.
Based on the theme.
Yes.
So I'm like and I go up first.
Mm-hmm.
So and I have sometimes like paper in hand. Like it's
Of course.
very like workout kind of show. So
Yeah.
like it's like a cool thing for me to just be like, all right, I have to write 15 jokes about this thing. Let's see how I could kind of like voice it and put it into. So that's been really cool to like figure out. Last night was about cults. I did a lot about like church and like religious stuff and whatever. Hell and all those type of like concepts I used to be like obsessed about. And that was really cool.
Do you think that you would fall for a cult?
100%. I'm
What kind of
ripe.
cult would it be? I know, me too. What kind of cult would it be?
Probably entertainment type of like Scientology, because like I'm so like obsessed with it. Unless something like really opened my eyes to like, like mushroom tea or whatever.
Yeah.
Some
Like
kind
some
of,
sort of like where like
MLM.
it promised you some sort of relief from, and it was like a practice of some kind, and it promised you like
Yes.
relief from.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. I think I would also. The only thing that I would be resistant to joining in a cult would be, like this. I don't know. I would
Cutting
have a
people
tough.
out.
Yeah, like I
Yeah.
I don't think I would have a crazy problem with cutting out like my some people like some family and like friends or whatever. I think it's more the idea that I like the type of community I would be entering into. Like if there were like bullshit people, like too many of them, I think I would be like, oh, clock it a little bit.
Yeah. And I think the older you are, the less likely you're going to join a cult. I
Yes.
think cults like skew younger. Just
I mean,
because,
unless
like,
unless
Yeah.
maybe there's a big change in your life or some kind, like if I was widowed or something
death
like
or
that.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
But
could see
I
that
do
happening.
think that this is the reason why I think improv works so wonderfully is that because the focus is on your own progress and you are all as a group working towards it together. There are other cults I think that like where your aim is only to work for the cult. If
Yeah.
it was a cult where it was the idea was that it was for your own, like it was much
Oh,
more.
that's why the self-improvement cults are so hot right now.
That's what I think. I would fall
Yeah.
for something like that, like a
Self-improvement
self-improvement cult. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Even
yeah.
like something like a Nexium was something like that.
Yes.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
about
yeah.
like releasing your traumas or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could
think
see
so.
myself like getting wrapped up in a therapy cult or some shit.
All
You know,
right. I mean, if
as
you're-
long as
if
the
you're-
food is good, I'm in.
And if you're a cult with some capital to throw our way, if you're a financier of some kind,
Yeah.
and you need two Asian people for your brochure, look us up. Look us up.
We're available.
We're available. We're ripe. We're weak.
Uh, We're damaged gazelles. Come eat us up. All right, folks. Thanks for listening. That's another episode of Two Kims One Pod. Check out our Patreon, and we are live in Portland
and
May
Seattle.
23rd.
Yes.
That's right. And Seattle, May 24th. All those tickets and links are on our socials, on our link tree. So please go check out the links, buy tickets, buy for your friends. We'd love to see you. And then we
Please.
also have a Patreon with like a bunch of new footage coming out. We stacked a lot of like cool, awesome, industry shaking, career ending tea. So come partake. Love you guys. Bye.
Bye.